Hey, all you tough mothers out there. I have a very cool guest today, Eva Barin, also known as Rifle Number 13. She is on Instagram and on Facebook. She is a high powered rifle competitor expert class, certified pistol and rifle instructor, and she holds a black belt in Tae Kwon Do. So do not piss her off, is basically what I'm reading into that. She's really passionate about the shooting sports, and she is a really proud member of the community. I can't wait to introduce you guys to her because she is super cool. Eva, tell me how you got into shooting and a little bit about your story.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me and letting me tell my story. For the first time ever, started shooting when I was at summer camp. So I was a girl at day camp, probably 9 or 10 years old, and my favorite activity was the BB gun range. And then once I graduated from camp, which was probably around age 11, I didn't have another opportunity. I didn't live somewhere where people shot guns. My parents certainly didn't. And so the next opportunity I had was when I was in high school. I went to an all girls school. Across the street was an all boys school. They had a riflery team. So I saw the boys bringing their rifles onto the school bus, which is what we used to do back then. And I said, I want to do this. And they said, do you know how to shoot? And I said, well, let me try. I mean, I knew how to shoot a BB gun. Yeah, they handed me a rifle and I took a few shots and they said, all right, you're on the team.
Wow.
So that's how I became the first girl on the boys varsity riflery team.
That is
We shot
awesome.
22 bolt actions. I did not have my own rifle. My parents didn't even let me have a BB gun.
Well, tell me
And
about that. Like, why were your parents not shooters and how did you get into shooting?
we lived in Philadelphia, and it just, we didn't live in an area where we knew anybody that shot, didn't know anyone. I mean, my dad had been in the Army. He was drafted, but other than that, I mean, really didn't know a lot of people that had been in the military. So just wasn't familiar with it, only just through camp activities. I mean, we had riflery, archery, trampoline, and I
Oddly
really,
enough, I know more people who have been injured by trampolines than firearms.
that's true. The trampolines didn't even have sides on them. Like people would hold their hands up and hope that you didn't flip off. So, yeah, I mean, it just wasn't part of our family culture growing up. And then when I saw it at school, I said, I want to do it. I mean, it wasn't even offered to girls. It was in the basement of the school, so I didn't even know about it.
Wow.
And then I started shooting for the team there, and they issued me a rifle because I didn't own my own, and it was number 13. So
That's
that's
awesome.
where my rifle number 13 name has come from. And then once again, went away to college, started living my life. I was in Atlanta, then I was up in Washington, D.C., and just didn't cross paths with any shooters until a few years ago. And it was a trainer actually at my gym. Found out that he had been doing some shooting and some of the other trainers had been as well. So I went to an indoor range and kind of got refamiliarized with rifles. Had never shot an AR-15, nothing above a 22 caliber. And then I just kept pushing myself to pursue more and more. I found out about an outdoor range, which is a whole different ball game than shooting
Right.
25 yards. Now I was shooting 200 yards. Um, I looked up different styles of shooting, and high power seemed really interesting to me because it's three different distances, so 200, 300, and 600 yards, and you do it standing, sitting, and prone. So I thought that sounded fun. It's a little bit of everything. It's rapid fire and slow fire. So I showed up. It was just like high school all over again. Showed up at a practice. It was just a bunch of guys there. And I said, I want to do this. And they handed me an AR-15, and then the rest was history.
That's so cool. So how were you received in that community? I mean, like how long ago was like, so you said 2 years ago. So like, how were you received in the community?
It was about 4 years ago that I
Oh, okay, four.
started getting into this. Yeah.
Okay.
It was the same as in high school, skepticism, like, do you know how to do this? Have you ever done it before? Also, like, I guess I don't know if it was courage or like naivete or whatever to just walk up and say, show me what to do. But once they could see that I was, I think, safe and also had a little bit of an idea of what to do, and that I was very, very open to learning.
Yeah.
Everyone welcomed me with open arms. I've made so many friendships that are so valuable through the shooting community. People have coached me, people have loaned me everything that I've needed until I didn't want to run out and purchase everything right away. I would recommend to people that they don't do that.
Right.
Find, what works for you, and then invest in it. So it took me about a year before I had all the equipment.
That is really cool. Yeah. And I found that like they feel like there's a bit of like, okay, why are you here? Are you going to shoot us?
Well,
and then once you kind of overcome that.
Well, are
so
you
excited.
Somebody's wife? Like what, there's
Are you lost?
what are you doing here? Yeah. Or are you here with your family? It's like, why would a woman just walk up to a range and want to shoot? Well, why wouldn't she?
Right. Well, I think there's a lot of like, stereotypes that we kind of have to overcome. Like you said, like in the girls' school, there was no shooting available. I think now it's obviously we're shifting towards a different viewpoint and dynamic, but back then it was just like girls did this kind of stuff and boys did that kind of stuff. And it's really exciting to see that kind of change, especially in like the 2A world where you've got more and more women that are interested in shooting. And I've heard a lot of times like women are typically better, like more natural, like better like shots. It could be we're a little more patient. Maybe we're a little more vindictive. I don't know. It's
well, what I hear is that women are more apt to taking instruction and not trying to just show up like, oh, we know what to do. I mean, I will admit, I don't know how to do this. Please show me. So if you're open to learning, then I think that makes you a good student.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So now you do competitions. So what was the impetus to start your first competition? What was it? And like, how did that play out?
It was probably because at the same time that I started shooting high power, which was in around 2017, was when I joined Instagram, because I wanted to find the shooting community. I just knew a few of the men from my range, but I figured there's got to be more out there. So I used Instagram to connect with others and found out about the national rifle matches, which are held at Camp Perry every year. And they are put on by the Civilian Marksmanship Program. So that's sort of like everybody's ultimate goal. Like every match you shoot is really practice for the nationals. Okay. So people were saying, you should go. I'm thinking, right, you've got to be kidding me. I just learned how to do this. But I set my sights on the nationals, which would have given me 1 year to prepare. And I did. I just did everything I could to get ready for that. And literally showed up at Camp Perry, which is a National Guard base in Ohio, by myself. But didn't really know what to expect. And spent the week there. It was fun.
That's so cool. So what did you do to prepare? Like what all does it take?
A lot of shooting. My range is only 200 yards, so we don't actually shoot the full course, which is up to 600 yards. We shoot reduced targets. So as we're shooting, the targets get smaller and smaller to simulate the distance. So I did exercise because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of walking, and you're carrying all of your gear. I mean, my rifle alone is 13 and a half pounds. So, you've got your cart and your coat and your mat and your spotting scope and all that. So I did lift weights and start to do more cardio, and then just shoot as much as you can. I mean, the fundamentals, are the same no matter what you're shooting and what style. So yeah, I did it as much as I possibly could. Still didn't prepare me for what to expect at a national level, but yeah, it was a productive year.
That's really cool. So how did you do the first competition versus like second and third? And like, were you excited to go to your second one? You're like, okay, now I know. Or you're like, oh.
I didn't do great. I was happy that I even made it through the week and stayed and pushed through because it was grueling. I mean, you're up at 4:30 in the morning, you're shooting all day, and just, same thing the next day. There's no break. So yeah, I was proud that I did it, and it was probably the hardest thing I ever did, and also one of the most rewarding. The next year was, I can't say it was easier, but it was nice to know what to expect.
Right.
And then last year it was canceled because of COVID. And then this past year, I hadn't seen my family in 2 years, so we went to Hawaii instead.
Small
But
consolation prize.
yeah, I mean that was a good alternative. But yeah, I've done a lot of local matches. I traveled to Arizona for the Western Cup and games. So yeah, it gets easier and easier. I mean, you never feel completely relaxed because there's always like that tension of, am I going to do well? I hope I don't mess up. Are people watching me? But I think you'll know what I mean. Once you get into it, it starts to become meditative.
Yeah.
You're so focused that it really doesn't matter what else is going on.
Yeah. It's definitely a very Zen moment when you get into it. I mean, there are times where, you just have a bad day on the range. It's like, doesn't matter what you do. You're just, everything is just not jiving and you get frustrated. But when you really can, it's just like, shoo, everything just gets super clear. It's amazing feeling. So what are your big plans coming up? Like what kind of competitions are you doing? Like,
Well, I definitely didn't shoot as much the past year. Well, I shouldn't say that. I didn't shoot as much high power, but I took up trap and sporting clays because I just felt like there was a little bit more distance between me and the other people, and I could do it right at my own local range. And then I also bought two handguns this year. So I
nice.
picked up some pistol shooting. I think people usually start with pistol, but I'm ending with pistols. So yeah, I bought two pistols, and I'm not doing competition, but I just do that for fun.
You
And
thinking maybe
so
like doing like a 3-gun challenge?
I don't think so. People always try to get me to try different things like 3-gun, 2-gun, but I'm really focused on high power right now. I just was at a match this past weekend, and I've just decided to dedicate myself because I think next year is going to be a big year for the matches. Just since, like I said, they were canceled 2 years ago. This past summer, it was iffy if they were going to have them, so I don't think as many people showed up. But yeah, I've got my goals set for next summer.
That's really cool. And so now, like, do you see more women on the range, or like, is it still kind of like the same, like mostly men, some women, or
It's mostly men. There's usually one other woman that shoots when I'm there.
like you guys know each other? Like,
Yeah, we know each other, and it might be the nature of that sport because I do see a lot of women shooting trap, and I see a lot of women shooting pistol, but not high power. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's pretty grueling.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I like to see some friendly women faces, and I try to be a friendly face too to others when they're
very
there.
much so. No, it's when I started getting into it, I started following people on Instagram and I found you and I was like, oh, look, like, it's so fun to find other female shooters out there because it's just not typical, unfortunately, which I'd love it to be typical because I just think it's a wonderful thing for women to do, right? It's a great equalizer. It's a great stress relief. It's a lot of fun. It's something that we can absolutely excel at. It's not like, I mean, yes, the rifles can get heavy, but at the same time, it's not like we're lifting gigantic tires either. Like we can all kind of like really excel at it. So I just love seeing that. So what about like your teaching? Like, how do you coach people? Do you have classes? Do you do one-on-one? Like kind of how did you get into that?
I just got certified this past few months just because it was something that I could do sort of in the downtime. So I've only taught one class. It was a rifle portion of it. It was rifle, pistol, shotgun. So there were three instructors. I was the rifle instructor, and it went really, really well. The women, it was all women.
Oh, nice.
Many of them had never shot before, and if they had, it was very limited experience. And I don't, maybe one of them had shot an AR-15 before. So we started with 22s just to get, ease into it. And then I brought my competition rifle for them to try, and they loved it. They did great. I had so much fun and just felt really proud of them. So yeah, I just started. It's hard here because you need to be able to have a range for people to qualify. It's a lot more, it's not just classroom, it's
Right.
you're out there shooting. So it's tough in the DC area to have
What?
access to ranges. But yeah, I would like to continue pursuing that.
That's really cool. And so what is your competition rifle? Like, may I ask?
So yeah, my competition rifle is an AR-15.
Mhm.
It's a service rifle, so uh, it doesn't allow for a lot of modifications. I put on a Magpul adjustable stock just because I'm small, so any fixed stock, even the shortest A1 stock, was still too long for me. So I switched that. I switched out the stock trigger to a Geisley two-stage national match high-speed trigger, which is kind of like the gold standard of triggers in the sport. And I was shooting iron sights up until last year.
Really?
I did not want to use a scope, and I wasn't going to. And then
Even
they
at
made
like
it
200 yacht, like with iron sights,
600 yards with my eyeball. Yeah,
you're gonna have
I
really good eyesight.
I don't know how I even can do this. It's just sort of like, how people like have natural dance ability or can play the guitar. I can shoot targets. I don't know how. My eyesight is not that great, but I love iron sights. It's so gratifying. But they changed the rules and said people were allowed to use scopes, and everyone ran out and got optics. And so finally, I just decided, all right, fine. If I want to compete, because you're competing against yourself, but I mean, of course, you're also always competing against whoever else is on the line.
Right.
So I bought a Night Force SR1, and we're allowed to go up to 4.5 power. So it's not even that much magnification, but it's better than just a regular eyeball. So yeah, those are the only modifications that I've made. I'm left-handed. There's really nothing I can do about that. So everything is on the wrong side as far as I'm concerned.
I'm left-handed too.
Oh, you are?
I
Okay. I
am.
wonder
Yeah.
how many left-handed shooters there are.
Yeah.
Enough to make it worth being changing the rules, but
I
thanks.
got the it's a bad lever,
Okay.
and that has helped with my reloads so much better because it's
That
like,
makes a
with your
lot.
left hand, like trying to get that
Yeah.
release is impossible. It's like my fingers aren't, like my hand isn't big enough. So I
I know.
just use that little lever and it's been life changing. I don't know if you can use those in competition or not,
We
but
can use those. Yeah. But I guess at this point, I kind of have a feel for where things are, but
that's awesome.
an obstacle. Yeah.
Really cool. So if women wanted to reach out to you that are in the DC area or traveling to the DC area and wanted to be trained by you, how would they get in contact with you and do that?
Well, my Instagram and Facebook are both rifle number 13, and my Gmail is also rifle number 13 at gmail.com.
Perfect. All right, cool. And last question, I got to ask about the Tae Kwon Do. Like it
Oh,
seems
yeah.
hand in hand. Lots of people do like martial arts and stuff, but it's usually like jujitsu. Like, I don't know what it is, like jujitsu and shooting. So what got you into Taekwondo and black
Um,
belt? So you've been doing it for a while.
well, my brother took it when he was younger. Again, parents put him into martial arts, and I took piano lessons. So I really enjoyed kickboxing for exercise, and I went to a studio and I said, I'm interested in doing just the kickboxing classes. And the teacher said, well, why don't you just sign up for the martial arts class? And thought, okay. So I signed up. I was an adult. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. And I stuck with it through black belt, and it was the same sort of thing. I wasn't so much doing it for just my own personal protection, although it does help with that, but it's meditative. I mean, it's my space and my ability to just focus and tune everything out. So I get that same sort of like sense of peace from martial arts that I do when I'm shooting. And it doesn't hurt that, they're both things that can protect you if you need them to. So yeah, I kept going until I got my black belt, and then I was headed towards second degree black belt, and then I just said, I'm done. And I'm actually glad that I stopped, because that's when I started shooting. I felt my time I just wanted to try something else. So
that's really cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right. If you have any advice to women shooters out there or moms or women in general that just want to start shooting, what advice would you give them?
Whether it's competition or just your first time out there, don't hesitate. Just do it. You don't need to be good in order to go out there. Like, you don't have to know what you're doing first. A lot of people ask me that about competing. They say, well, I need to practice and get really good first. No, you don't. You just need to get out there. And I think that people who are waiting, women, if you're listening right now, don't wait any longer, because you're going to look back like I did and say, what happened to those 30 years in between when I wasn't doing this? It's time wasted. I could have been doing this all along. So yeah, I don't want you to look back and regret something that you didn't do, because this is really fun, and it could be a lifelong passion.
That is so cool. Well, thank you for that advice. Ladies, if you want to start shooting pistol, rifle, clay, whatever, just get out there and try it. The people are really welcoming. They're amazing. They want to help you, and, just be coachable. Like, that's basically all they want. And they will just welcome you with open arms. And definitely check out Eva on Instagram and Facebook. She's got some really cool photos and videos. Such an inspiration, and just a ton of fun to follow. If you guys have any questions for Eva, definitely reach out to her at riflenumber13@gmail.com. Follow her on Instagram and Facebook. Stalk her on the street if you see her. She's very pretty, but I wouldn't get too close, because she could definitely kick your ass. And most importantly, get out there and be not afraid. Great job. You made it to the end. You are one tough mother. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to support the work that we do and keep the good lovin' coming, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening. What's that? You're one of those crazy mother followers that wants more of this nonsense? You got it. Subscribe to the Moms Love Guns YouTube channel, follow us at Moms Love Guns on Instagram, and join our free private Facebook group to connect with other women just like you in an encouraging and non-judgmental community. If you want to share even more love, share your new favorite community with a friend or all of your friends, maybe even a few enemies, just to be safe. Get out there, overcome your fears, be not afraid. You have got this.